County at the top of the second division, but Bournemouth have won on their previous 2 visits to Meadow Lane. Our match commentators are Brian Marwood and Rob Hawthorne.
Most of Sam Allardyce, though, has already been exercised here. Despite the former manager's controversial resignation, Notts County's form since has led them to the top of the second division and led to the full-time appointment of Gary Brazil on Tuesday, when, with ironic timing, County lost to Brentford. Brazil, who hasn't yet been able to name the same team for 2 games running, is forced into making 4 changes today. Matt Redmile is suspended, and his on-loan defensive colleague Nick Fenton can't play, as Manchester City don't want him cup-tied, so Ian Richardson and Dennis Pearce come straight back in. Dwayne Darby is out with a groin problem, and Gary Owers was ruled out with an eye injury after being hit in the face by a ball in training yesterday, so Kevin Rapley and Paul Bolland both start.
Well, it's a side that's done extremely well this season, and I'm sure that Gary Brazil, the new man at the helm, will be hoping for a good cup run also. 3 centre-halves with the 2 wing-backs, certainly the experienced Alex Dyer will want to get on that left-hand side and try and provide the ammunition for all the front 2. Craig Ramage, very instrumental player in midfield. I'm sure he'll start off in midfield, but try and join the front 2. And certainly with the pace of Rapley and the strength of Stallard, Notts County, you can see why they've been such a force in Division 2 this season.
Bournemouth are still without England under-21 defender Eddie Howe with a knee injury. Former Manchester United man Russell Beardsmore is another on the lengthy list of injury victims. But West Ham have granted permission for Tyrrell Forbes to play. One of last year's FA Youth Cup winners, he's on loan to Mel Machin's side. There's a solid spine to the team with former Crystal Palace man Ian Cox at the back, Northern Ireland international Steve Robinson in midfield, and the talented veteran 33-year-old Mark Steen in attack.
Well, Bournemouth, a very similar formation to Notts County. A lot of youngsters in this Bournemouth side, certainly with Tyrrell Forbes. Looking forward to seeing him again after his exerts for the West Ham youth side in their success of the FA Youth Cup last season. Steve Robinson in midfield, very busy, very industrious. And the front 2, very experienced front 2, of course. Steve Fletcher played a lot of football in the lower divisions, and of course Mark Steen seen time, of course, with the likes of Chelsea, great FA Cup runs, and he will be also a real threat this afternoon.
The FA Cup may be without the defending champions this year, but the oldest club in the Football League are still in it, and it's Notts County who get this first round tie underway. They're in black and white, Bournemouth in green. Andy Hughes to take the early free kick. In fact, he's left it for Craig Ramage. Stallard and Rapley are both waiting in the penalty area, and Ian Richardson too has gone forward to join them from the back. Dennis Pearce is to be the eventual taker, and headed clear by Carl Fletcher, only as far as Paul Bolland. Here's Dennis Pearce. Pearce only just back in the lineup himself after injury, as is Ian Richardson. This is Andy Hughes. Looking for and finding Alex Dyer. Experienced campaigner Dyer. This is his 12th campaign in the FA Cup with his 7th different club. And he's won the first corner of the match. In goes Hughes' corner, and the goalkeeper hasn't dealt with it, and he's really struggling, and bodies pouring in on Mark Ovendale after he failed to hold it at the first time of asking.
Well, he's very fortunate, isn't he, Mark Ovendale? Great corner in from Andy Hughes. A little bit of a swirl out there. Ovendale really struggles to come and catch. Certainly some good defending from Ian Cox at the heart of that Bournemouth defence.
Well, Rapley and Ramage were both in there battling. Ian Richardson was determined to join the fray too. And it was a real scare for Mark Ovendale in the opening 2 minutes of the contest. Cox beaten to it by Stallard. This is Forbes. Still adjusting to life in the second division, doesn't have the time that he's been used to at youth level with West Ham.
Stallard started very well indeed, Rob. I think that he's going to be a real threat. I think it's important Notts County can get the ball in to him from an aerial point of view. He certainly has had some early dominance.
Andy Hughes attempting the long throw-in. Header clear was by Robinson, and that's Steen with the flick. This is Mark Warren. And now Richard Holmes, who's really emerged in the first team this season, a product of Notts County's youth system. Flicked on by Ramage, and a clearance by Cox. It's a determined start by Notts County. Hughes getting it across, and Cox lashing at it and conceding another corner.
Almost problem at the moment, Rob, is they're sitting quite deep. Notts County are really penning them in, and they're certainly picking up the second ball whenever possible. Certainly good early pressure from the home side.
Andy Hughes, who takes the corners from both sides, making good use of the wind again to curl that one in, and Ovendale, who rocked with the last one, deciding to punch this time.
Great delivery from Hughes on 2 occasions there. It is always going to be difficult. Real swirl out there at the moment. Goalkeeper Ovendale has struggled on a couple of occasions, and it's a very nervous looking Bournemouth at the moment.
They've barely been able to get outside their own half, and Ovendale has almost put himself under pressure there again with that ball to Forbes, with Kevin Rapley lurking. It's a real dangerous thing for the goalkeeper to attempt. Header forward by Pearce. This is Ian Richardson. Cox. Now Forbes. It's been a torrid opening for the Bournemouth defence, and they're grateful now that Klaus Jorgensen can relieve some of that pressure by getting it deep in the Notts County half and finding Robinson, and Ward given his first work of the afternoon. Cox. Jorgensen. Interception by Dennis Pearce, and an advantage played by the referee. This is Mark Warren. Bournemouth have now gone 4 matches without a win. Their 1-0 victory at Chesterfield, the only win they've managed in their last 9 matches. Steve Fletcher just feeling the effects of a trickle of blood just by the ear, but certainly not holding back as he goes in with Ian Richardson.
Quite a good battle at the moment, Rob. 2 players who are certainly very committed to the cause.
Nice little and large combination they have up front, Bournemouth. Fletcher, the real warrior, strong type, and Mark Steen, tricky little player alongside him.
This is better for the visitors now. I'm sure that Mel Machin will be delighted having had to witness that opening from Notts County. It was a real blood and thunder stuff early on in the match, but Bournemouth seemed to just have settled, beginning to make 1 or 2 good passing movements, and certainly with the likes of Robinson from midfield.
Well, Holmes seemed to be fouled by Krista Warren, but the referees let play carry on. Ramage, now Holmes. Rapley unable to control the shot, and it comes back off him to Jamie Day. Well, Jeff Winter let the initial challenge go because a county move was flourishing, but now he's going to take punitive action against Krista Warren, and it's the first yellow card of the afternoon.
Well, I think that's good refereeing from Jeff Winter. He allowed play to continue, but always been very mindful he'd have to return to an incident where Warren certainly went very late indeed on Richard Holmes. Good little bit of skill from Holmes. Clearly see that Warren certainly deserves that yellow card.
Here's Steve Fletcher. Jamie Day. Robinson. Dyer. This is Forbes. Steen. Krista Warren. Alex Dyer in a battle of strength with Jorgensen. It's Pearce with a long ball, and Rapley putting the pressure on and getting the better of Young and scoring. Kevin Rapley makes a goal-scoring return for Notts County. 1-0.
Well, this just goes to show, Rob, that you never give up. This ball has travelled a long way from Pearce, and really Ratley just doesn't give up on it. Really, the defender, he's certainly favoured for that. Young gets caught on it. I'm not sure whether he gets a shout from the goalkeeper, Ovendale. They certainly seem to be at odds with each other. And he makes an awful rash of that one. And as far as Ratley's concerned, he makes them pay. Just Warren once again clashing with Holmes. That's a couple of occasions in this game. Quite a little tussle, these two. Booking, a sore head. Not a bad afternoon so far, is it?
Tempo. Don't let the tempo drop.
Forbes missed the header. Stallard was coming in behind him and was surprised as anyone that it reached him.
Well, they're very happy to knock balls in very early. Holmes once again, that's a terrific ball to the far post. Stallard peels away, gets behind Forbes. I think he really gets caught by surprise. They really did feel that Forbes would be favoured just to nick this ball.
Stallard. Carl Fletcher. Day. Forbes back to Ian Cox. This is Neil Young.
Are you going to get that in, Houston?
Robinson.
These three players again. Fletcher, Day, Robinson, always looking to link play.
Jamie Day, late of Arsenal, to Carl Fletcher.
Once again breaking down. Incredible, some of the possession that Bournemouth have had in that middle third without really creating too many problems.
Day. Now Steen, oh well, it was a very late flag.
It was indeed. I think Mark Steen was bitterly disappointed and because of that reacted. And he's going to get a yellow card for his trouble. I think that's an obvious reaction, isn't it? Very disappointed you've been caught offside. He's just really thrown the ball down. He hasn't thrown it away. But Jeff Winter certainly quite happy to, yeah, he's just thrown it to the ground. Quite happy to produce a yellow card.
Well, it did seem a tight offside decision, and Gary Britton, the assistant referee who made it, almost seemed to hesitate.
He'd frighten you with those eyes, wouldn't he?
Well, as Fletcher played it through, Steen was recovering from a bump with Mark Warren.
Do you know, I really do believe Bournemouth have a little bit more belief in themselves, a little bit more conviction about scoring a goal in this match. They probably will do, because they certainly have had the better play as far as possession goes. Need to build up. Some very good play in midfield, but as yet, Steen and Fletcher yet to make a big impression.
Young. Krista Warren. Richardson's missed his kick. And it was ball to hand rather than hand to ball, said the referee, as the Bournemouth fans behind that goal were appealing for a penalty.
Well, there's really some nervousness in the rear guard, and comes in the shape of Ian Richardson, who has been outstanding so far for Notts County at the heart of that defence.
Hughes.
So Notts County look to, whenever possible, get the ball in behind these three centre-halves. Troubled the Bournemouth three on one occasion. Notts County got their goal for it.
Holmes. He's gone out for the goal kick. Evidently deflected on its way behind, and referee Jeff Winter has given a corner.
You'll have to be careful, Bournemouth. The delivery from set pieces have been excellent so far.
An awkward one to deal with, but it was Neil Young who got his head to it.
That's a fantastic ball in, really was, from Pearce. We've had Hughes really knocking them in, whipping them in with pace from the left-hand side with his right foot.
And down comes this time and takes it, and that will be a little lift for him after his handling earlier on in the game.
Great kick. What a great kick that is.
Steen is out wide, and Robinson has got forward in support now, as has Carl Fletcher. Steen does it on his own, though.
Well, that's what you call Route 1 football. Great catch from Ovendale, and he's knocked a tremendous 80-90 yard ball. And Steen is on it like a flash. A lot of pace. Can't quite trouble the goalkeeper.
Stallard. Neil Young. Day. This is Young.
Get up!
Here's Bolland. Here's Carl Fletcher. Jorgensen. In goes Steve Fletcher, and it's Mark Steen, and cleared. It may have been going away from goal anyway. Turned back in by Day, and Steen is onside, and Ward flings out his arms to tip it around.
Well, good passage of play from Bournemouth. It's been threatening so far. Jorgensen hits a great ball in there, and Fletcher's looking to get on the end of it. Not a particularly great header, but Steen is on it not only once, but gets a return from Day at the far post. Just can't quite get enough on it to beat Darren Ward.
It's the most vulnerable that Notts County have looked since they established the lead. Jamie Day takes the corner. Well, Robinson was just lining one up when Dyer took it away from him with that header clear. But the pressure could be sustained here if Forbes can get it forward. Young. Tyrrell Forbes again, he's been forced back, and Notts County's harrying has relieved the danger.
I'm sure Mel Mitchell will be a bit disappointed his side are not on level terms in this game. Some of the football they've played in the first half has been excellent. Some great passing, very difficult conditions, swirling wind. But finally now beginning to carve out one or two chances in the shape of Mark Steen.
Good boy, well done.
Fletcher this time bearing down on Richardson, who's got defensive support there from Pearce. Pearce. Dyer under pressure from Jorgensen. This is Hughes. Mark Warren. Cox. Carl Fletcher. Hughes. Now Day. Good interception by Holmes. Holland. Dennis Pearce.
Well, it's a little bit better from Notts County. Certainly still not quite good enough. Although Gary Brazil won't be kidding himself. 1-0 up in this game so far. But Bournemouth have certainly looked threatening. Played the better football in that midfield area, and I'm sure that he'll be having words with his midfield three of Hughes, Ramage and Bolland. They're going to have to get a little bit tighter in the second half.
Well, Bournemouth got as far as the 4th round last year when they eventually were knocked out at Barnsley. 3 of their 4 ties were away from home, but they didn't have to go through any replays, whereas in contrast all 3 of Notts County's ties last year went to replays before they were eventually knocked out in a 3rd round replay here by Sheffield United. Bournemouth would take a replay as it stands at the moment. Here's Stallard. Rapley and Hughes are both in attack, cleared by Young. Here's Bolland, one of 3 former Bradford players in the lineup. Another one there is Ramage. Stallard is the other one. But it's Young who stepped up here for Bournemouth. He's got Steen to his right and Steve Fletcher to his left. But he's gone all on his own.
Well, he very nearly atoned for his earlier mistake that cost his side a goal. A terrific driving run from the back. Certainly body swerved a couple of players. I do think he ought to have just shoved the ball wide to the more experienced Mark Steen, but he's certainly got an eye for goal when he gets into those positions.
May look familiar to you, Neil Young. His may look familiar to you, Neil Young. His brother Luke plays at Tottenham, and there's certainly a family resemblance. Here's Day. Krista Warren. Jamie Day.
Once again, some pretty football, Rob, in those areas, but really have got to be a little bit more positive. Got to be a little bit more threatening.
Jorgensen's cross, and Pearce is behind it. Dyer under pressure here from Klaus Jorgensen.
Well, at times you'd think the Bournemouth with the home side. Some of their football has been excellent.
Jorgensen with the throw-in. Hughes. So 6th season in charge of Bournemouth for Mel Machin, and the team have only suffered 1 first-round defeat in the FA Cup in that time. That was back in the 96-7 season when they were beaten by Brentford. And it's a former Brentford player who's put them behind in this tie, Kevin Rapley. Steve Fletcher. There's Ian Richardson. Rapley. Mark Warren. It's Young. This is Robinson.
I'm sure Gary Brazil at half-time, Rob, will have one or two things to say to his Notts County team. I think they really have to start matching the effort and some of the control and domination that Bournemouth seem to be getting in this game. That will be worrying him.
There's Warren.
Oh, Warren, that's brilliant. Well done, son.
Ian Richardson penalised for climbing all over Steve Fletcher.
Surprising that there hasn't been more free kicks awarded against either of these two players, because they really have had a very competitive first half.
And late hope with less than 30 seconds before half-time for Bournemouth to draw level here. Krista Warren could be useful from this situation. Jamie Day is there as well. Ball eventually moving back at Jeff Winter's insistence. It's Day. Oh!
Oh, what a fantastic effort that was. Jamie Day really trying his luck from all of 20-25 yards. That was swerving and curling and very nearly dipping, not dipped quite enough. Darren Ward certainly had to sling himself far and wide, very, very close to going in the top corner. Terrific strike.
Notts County are leading at half-time thanks to a goal from Kevin Rapley on his return to the team. He might not have been playing had Dwayne Darby been fit, but when Dennis Pearce's long ball wasn't dealt with by Neil Young, Rapley was there to take advantage. And despite the fact that Bournemouth have had a lot of pressure in this first half, they haven't been able to convert it into goals. So at half-time in the first round FA Cup tie at Meadow Lane, it's Notts County 1, Bournemouth 0.
So the second division leaders in front at half-time. We'll have the second half of that game shortly. Also to come in our Cup special, the draw for... Welcome back, Bournemouth, with plenty to do in the second half of our featured FA Cup game this evening. Don't forget tomorrow's live game in the first round of the FA Cup comes from Barnet, going great guns in the third division. They're at home to Burnley, who are doing well at the top of the second. The build-up is from midday on Sky Sports 2. Still to come in this evening's programme, highlights from the cup ties at Whiteleaf, Burton, Reading and Luton. But let us now return to Meadow Lane. 1-0 to Notts County at half-time. Let's rejoin our match commentators, who are Brian Marwood and Rob Hawthorne.
Bournemouth get the second half underway with neither team having made any substitutions at half-time. Bournemouth's first round defeat at Brentford 3 seasons ago was their only defeat at the first round in the last 16 seasons. But Kevin Rapley's first half goal here has them under pressure. Rapley's second goal of the season. He got the 82nd minute winner at Bristol Rovers a week ago. County with a lot longer this time to hang on to the lead that Rapley has established. And certainly Bournemouth's pressure deserved a goal. Steen here had a good couple of opportunities. This is Steve Robinson, who's worked hard in the midfield. Pearce. Clearance by Forbes finds Steve Fletcher. This is Klaus Jorgensen. And out of his goal comes Darren Ward, a player who played the last time that Notts County actually managed to beat Bournemouth, which was back in September 1996, although that was at Dean Court. They won 1-0 with a goal from Gary Jones. Steve Fletcher. Just hauling back Craig Ramage. Darren Ward, who is the captain of the Notts County team. Here's Carl Fletcher. Day. Richardson. Here's Mark Warren. Rapley. Hughes. From Dyer, and Forbes was a little unsure. Steve Fletcher. Clearance by Day. Richardson. Young. Cox. Carl Fletcher.
Once again, Rob, Bournemouth very content just to try and pass the ball around. Done it very well indeed.
And Steen just unable to get there.
Always looking to probe and probe and probe until they can find an opening. Sure, Mel Machin would have been saying to his players at half-time, try and maintain that same composure.
Here's Holmes. He was looking for Ramage, who'd got into the box, and Cox gets it away. Ramage, though, went down with Carl Fletcher just behind him, and he looked back at the referee for a moment there.
Well, Ramage hasn't had too many opportunities to get into these particular positions. Holmes fires a great ball in near post. Ramage is very unfortunate.
He's smiling about it, but it's a corner anyway to Notts County. And Dennis Pearce, who's put in some useful deliveries from the right-hand side, takes this one. Oh! Well, it swerved in the wind, and Stallard couldn't have been very far away from it.
Well, it shows you how strong the wind is, Rob. This actually starts on the penalty spot and just really whips with the wind. And Stallard not quite sure at the far post. And that beats everybody, but that's a great ball in. That's always going to create problems for defenders. And certainly that time, attackers also.
Mark Stallard, who once scored a goal against Notts County at Wembley for Bradford in the playoff final. Cost them promotion that year. Wembley appearances for both of these teams in recent times have come in competitions other than the FA Cup. Notts County have been in 3 Wembley playoff finals this decade and an Anglo-Italian final, and Bournemouth were at Wembley for the first time just a couple of seasons ago in the Auto Windscreen Shield final when they lost to Grimsby, having taken the lead. As well as the wind, the rain is adding to the difficulties. It's getting heavier in this second half, and it's blowing right into the faces of the Bournemouth players. Here's Neil Young, whose mistake led to the first goal. Cleared by Richardson, and Steen lifts it over.
Well, that's a good chance. He'll be disappointed not to hit the target from there, Mark Steen. But once again, it's a good foraging run from Young from the back. And the ball falls certainly invitingly to Steen. Can't get over the top of his volley. Certainly he'll be disappointed with his quality, his technique, not to have hit the target from there.
Forbes. Dyer. Now by Cox, just tugging away at Rapley.
Defensively, the Bournemouth back three have looked a little bit vulnerable when the ball has gone up to the likes of Stallard. Certainly the likes of Cox, Young and Forbes have struggled to make the first header.
Ramage with a kick. And Avondale's handling has certainly improved after he rather shakily dealt with an early corner in this match.
Really is difficult as far as the conditions are out there at the moment, Rob. Both sides having to contend with the onslaught of the rain and as well as the wind. Very strong gusts blowing around here at Meadow Lane.
Notts County have won the FA Cup on just one occasion. That was back in 1894. Neil Young.
Getting the point to where Mel Machin may just decide to change one or two personnel, try and freshen things up, because their overall play has been quite outstanding until the last third. Without really finding that firepower, certainly to get their side back into the game.
Neil Young. Steen. And Steen's worked it through this time, and Bournemouth have equalised through Krista Warren. And at last the Bournemouth pressure has paid off, and what a well-worked move it was.
Well, they get a little bit lucky because Steen's first attempt hits one of defenders, but his second one certainly makes sure that Warren gets through on goal. And this is a very well-placed, cool finish in off the post. Ward's got no chance. It is certainly just reward for Bournemouth's possession. They have shown the greater quality in this game so far. Actually came at a time, Rob, where I think Mel Machin was contemplating that substitution. Saw Gordon Watson looking to get stripped for action. I'm sure he felt that he couldn't leave it too long, because their general play has been of the highest quality. Unfortunately, up until then, they hadn't quite found that cutting edge.
Second week running that Krista Warren has scored. He managed his only other goal of this season in last week's 2-2 draw at Bury. Dyer gets it across this time, and the header is blocked. It was Ramage Hughes rather, who got into the box, and the header was blocked by Day.
Tell you what a terrific block this is from the youngster Jamie Day. This is heading for goal. That really is heading for goal, and Mark Avondale wouldn't have had any answer to that particular header from Andy Hughes. That's a great block from Jamie Day.
And Pearce hits the corner. Avondale punches this time. Bolland back out towards Pearce. Cleared by Young. Will be as relieved as anyone that Bournemouth have got that equaliser. Stallard with a touch.
That's where they've caused problems, Rob. Whenever they've got the ball into this fella, that aerial threat, he certainly is proving a handful.
Robinson. Carl Fletcher. Jorgensen. Back to Carl Fletcher. Day. Krista Warren. Looking for Steve Fletcher, and it's Dennis Pearce who gets there.
It's a great header from Pearce. What great header.
Robinson. Here's Day. And Steen has timed his run to perfection this time. Oh, it was a glorious opportunity, and somehow he contrives to miss it.
Well, you really would have thought, with his experience, he really would have took this. He looks a long, long way offside to me, but Jamie Day plays a terrific reverse pass, just does enough. Steen peels away, good first touch, looks up, he's got to hit the target from there. This must be huge disappointment for Bournemouth, because they have controlled this match.
Well, Steen, for one, springing an offside trap that very often has been effective, but Mark Warren was so furious that this time the flag stayed down, that he protested a little too strongly for the referee's liking and has been booked as a result. And he's still arguing about it now.
He did look a long way offside, didn't he? But when you're given opportunities like that, you really ought not to miss them.
The goals just seem to have dried up at the moment for Mark Steen. He's still got 6 this season, but just 1 in his last 10 matches. Dyer. Header away by Cox. Richardson. And here's Bolland. Well, he got the merest sight of goal there, and it skids away from Avondale.
It's not a bad attempt, is it, from Paul Bolland? Picks the ball up, Day loses possession. Has a lot to aim at. Got to hit the target from there, though. He'll be disappointed. Certainly either side here could just nick a win.
Pearce. And Ramage was caught. Free kick.
Well, it really is a quicker game now, and because of that, mistakes are being made. Tackles flying in thick and fast, some are late. Be a 25-yard wall, that. The referees still bring them back.
And Ramage hits it well, but Avondale was well placed to take it. Steen. Robinson. Here comes Bolland. Defending manfully and finding Alex Dyer. Rapley. Hughes. Rapley was taken there by Young. Break on here though for Holmes. Can the youngster carry it all the way?
Well, this has certainly been Notts County's best moment in this match. Some super play, good defending initially from Bolland at the back. It goes up, the ball comes certainly to Stallard, frees Holmes wide in that right position, but can't hit the target. Better from Notts County, a lot better.
Well, good to see one of the old Notts County stalwarts here today. Jimmy Cyril, how many times has he been manager here? He really is woven into the history of Notts County Football Club, and of course he's sitting opposite the stand that's named after him. gather now that he spends his summers in Malta and his winters in England, which somehow seems the wrong way round. Great to see him here today.
I don't think his life would be the same without this football club to watch every other weekend.
Jorgensen has become the latest player to be shown a yellow card after becoming involved in an argument with an assistant referee. The third Bournemouth player to be booked after Krista Warren and Mark Steen. And getting involved again. This time he's embroiled with Rapley.
It's a little bit unfortunate. Kevin Rapley thinks it. Jorgensen has made the foul on him, but Jeff Winter decided otherwise.
Richardson.
Jeff Winter must have thought there was going to be snow here today. He's brought a bright orange whistle with him.
More bothered at the moment about sorting out a situation between Jorgensen and Dyer, and Jorgensen, having just been shown a yellow card, now has to watch his step. Holmes. This is Steen. Jamie Day. Robinson. Fletcher. Neil Young.
Once again, good passing from Bournemouth. A little bit unfortunate, can't quite find the ball to free Warren, but I've been very impressed with their midfield three. Fletcher, Robinson and Day. Day in particular really linked up play extremely well here this afternoon. And because of that, Bournemouth, I've got to say, Rob, have had the better possession, but far the better team.
Cost a nominal fee from Arsenal, did Jamie Day, making his FA Cup debut this afternoon. Day and Steen again has beaten the offside trap. The angle is slightly more difficult for him this time, but again he can't finish.
Well, the referee's assistant on this side is really having a busy afternoon. That looks to me once again offside. Notts County holding a good line, but it's Day's through ball. It's a very well weighted through ball indeed, and Steen once again lacking in that confidence to finish.
Disappoints this time, tame effort. Forbes. Jamie Day into the final 10 minutes, and the conditions are worsening here. The wind is getting strong and the rain is getting stronger too. Mr. Warren.
One thing hasn't changed though, Rob, the possession and the quality of possession that Bournemouth have maintained through this afternoon. The passing has certainly been of the highest quality.
Jorgensen. Delivered it again into the box, but it's cleared by Richardson. Run back by the tigerish Robinson initially, but Bolland doing well, sticking to his task. This is Ramage. Rapley. moment, you almost get the impression that County would be happier with the replay than Bournemouth would.
Just can't keep the ball, Rob, that's the problem. Notts County giving possession away too cheaply. But they're still in there, 1-1.
Andy Hughes will take the throw in eventually, but Bournemouth have had to wait long enough to make this substitution, and now they can do it. And Gordon Watson, who had that 18-month spell out after that horrendous broken leg he suffered while at Bradford, is coming on to take the place of Steve Fletcher. Gordon Watson's first appearance in the FA Cup for 3 seasons since he was with Southampton when they lost at Reading. Hughes gets it across. Bolland. Warren.
Absolutely thrown it down out there at the moment. All sorts of players have done remarkably well in an afternoon where the conditions have been absolutely appalling.
It's a gloomy day here in Nottingham. Pierce with the header back. And Ward unable to prevent it from going for the corner. Left for Warren to take. Watson went for it, but Richardson got in his way. And how much progress can he make? This is Rapley. Hughes is in the attack. Richardson has carried on his charge forward. Mark Warren. Holmes. Goalkeeper's ball.
Once again, I'm sure Gary Brazil, the Notts County manager, is looking for a great deal more of quality from his side.
This time Jorgensen has set Steen away, and Watson's free, and he just couldn't get it across to him. Richardson recovered. Given away to Jorgensen, though. Richardson again has to stand up to it.
That was an important deflection as far as Notts County are concerned, because Gordon Watson certainly would have been free on goal.
No foul given against Neil Young. Rapley claiming there that he was blocked off.
That's a good decision from the referee. Rapley was certainly unaware, as Neil Young was, and I think Rapley's just certainly ran into the Bournemouth centre-half.
Here's Steen. Cleared by Holmes, but given away by Holmes too today. Warren. This is Jorgensen. For Robinson, he was aiming to lay it back into the path of Gordon Watson. But with 5 minutes to go, the game is balanced on a knife edge.
Yeah, it is. I think that Bournemouth will be disappointed, perhaps, if they don't win this today, because they have the far greater possession.
Francis Tierney is coming on for Notts County. And Alex Dyer, the player who's coming off. Tierney, who former England youth international, came through the system at Crewe. And his career there never really recovered from the breakdown of a proposed move to Liverpool. Well won by Day, who's impressed with his tenacity. Gordon Watson. And Steen this time is flagged offside.
That's probably the time when he actually stayed onside. I think the referee's assistant was due one, wasn't it? He actually looks as if he's made a clever run. Unfortunately, what we can't see, just in our picture now, is Dennis Pearce. He looked as if he was actually keeping Steen onside.
Ramage.
This may be uncomfortable for Bournemouth. If they can get some quality in from this set piece. You tend to think with Dennis Pearce going over that so let's fire this one in.
Pearce's free kick.
Well, I'm sure he'll be looking for a little bit more quality. That's really got to be directed towards a penalty spot. When you've got the black and white shirts running in like that, and Dennis Pearce has provided a lot of quality from set pieces this afternoon, but not on that occasion.
Bournemouth have drawn 6 of their last 9 matches coming into this game, and at the moment they're heading for another one. Here's Ramage. Holland was up to his right and he just dwelt on it long enough for Young to get there.
That'd be a bit clever, didn't he? Craig Ramage had a great opportunity to feed Bolland in. He was certainly in a lot of space.
Here's Hughes. Mark Warren. Too long for Stallard. Bournemouth have never gone beyond the quarter-finals of the FA Cup. They lost at that stage in 1957 to Manchester United. And they've drawn United 3 times in the last 2 decades, actually beating them once when they were the holders back in 1984. Watson. Day. Robinson. Neil Young. Looking for Mark Steen. It's Pearce. Jorgensen. Watson. Collected by Pearce to Ian Richardson. Going up against Rapley.
Well, he's a little bit disappointed, isn't he, with the decision from the referee's assistant. But I'm sure if he had been onside rather, the ball would have skipped through to the goalkeeper.
Glanced off the head of Krista Warren. We're into stoppage time, of which there will be just 1 minute. Robinson. Mark Warren with the throw. Well, just as Notts County's 3 FA Cup ties of last season went to replays, their first of this season does too. Despite getting the opening goal through Kevin Rapley, constant Bournemouth pressure threatened to win this game for the South Coast side at the first attempt. But in the end, Krista Warren's goal was the only one that they could manage. despite Mark Steen once beating the offside trap in convincing fashion in the second half and missing a glorious opening. But it's finished here at Meadow Lane. Notts County 1, Bournemouth 1.
And those two sides will meet again a week on Tuesday to decide who goes through to the second round. But after the break, we'll have reaction from Meadow Lane. We'll also, first of all, Notts County's Gary Brazil.
I'm not disappointed that it's gone to a replay. Obviously, at the situation we had at half-time, Brian we were looking to push on and win the game. But I mean, we know that Bournemouth are a decent side. I mean, we're not making excuses. We've had a lot of injury problems over the last fortnight. The boys that we put in have done really well. Today, we've had Matthew Redmiles suspended. We've lost Nicky Fenton because he's on loan from Man City and we couldn't play him. We've had to put another team together.
Mel, I would imagine you were quite delighted with the amount of possession your side had today.
Yeah, I think that, you know, we came in at half-time, and considering that we were 1-0 down at half-time through a really, poor mistake. The lads themselves, I said, if we didn't get something out of this game, we really want kicking.
Well, Bournemouth seem to enjoy playing at Notts County. They're, of course, the second division leaders. Clive Allen is with me this evening. Pretty useful result as far as Mel Machin and his side are concerned, Clive.
I think he'd be delighted with that because, as you say, Notts County are going very, very well. But they had a really controlled possession for long periods of the game, which is a good sign for the replay back at Bournemouth.
Let's have another look at the goals. One or two individual errors here.
Well,
which
yes,
the players
I'm
involved won't want
surprised
to
that the
see
keeper
again.
hasn't called Neil Young for that. It's come from such a long way that really, if the keeper's giving him good information, it wouldn't have put Neil Young under that pressure. But they bounced back well, and that really is a bit of good fortune here when Mark Steen tries to play the first one to him. He gets the chance, but it is a clinical finish and nothing more than Bournemouth deserved, really.
Seeing Mark Steen there, they've got a bit of experience in that side, haven't they?
They have got experience, yes, and I think they've got a very good chance of progressing now when they play at home.
OK, well, let us move on and show you some of the other highlights this afternoon. Plenty of goals.
More likely, Notts County are back on top of the second after a 1-0 win at Stoke.
Stoke were defending a 10-match unbeaten run, so despite having won away from home 5 times this season, Notts knew this was going to be tough. Alex Dyer broke through after 23 minutes, and from then on Notts had to defend, sometimes desperately. Goalkeeper Darren Ward made a number of fine saves to keep them in it. Notts had to rely on breakaways for their attacks, and they almost extended their lead. In the end, they got the 3 points, and the win puts them 2 points clear at the top of the second division, with Stoke slipping down to 6th.
Now, briefly elsewhere in sport this evening,
complaint after fans came under a hail of bricks at last night's game against Stoke City. Supporters on a coach which was attacked as it left the Britannia ground said they feared for their lives. One Magpies supporter was beaten up and 2 other people